Hi! What is a sun sign? What is a rising sign? Why look at a sun sign versus a rising sign? And how can we learn more from the two? Hi, I'm Emily, founder of Lunar Pumpkin, inspirational speaker and moon lover. So, in this video I will define the sun sign and the rising sign. I will then look at my own chart, we'll explore that, and you can find these on your chart as well, including the moon sign. So, what is a sun sign? Let's start there. Your sun sign, it's your essential essence and your life force energy. Your personality, it's also your protective ego, and how you identify yourself, your full identity really. The sun sign is determined by the date in which we were born. So if you're new to astrology, you might know your star sign, and your star sign is the popular version of how people would determine a sun sign, but the true name for it is your sun sign. So let's continue. Simply put, without the sun, we cannot live, we cannot grow, and we cannot thrive. So it's very important to who we are as a person and us coming into this life. What is a rising sign, you might ask? Well, a rising sign is also known as your ascendant. The rising sign is the sign or the constellation that was rising up over the horizon at that moment in time where you were born. So we determine that by the place and the time that you were born. So that sun sign is determined by the date that you were born. The rising sign is determined by the time and the place you were born. And we can find a rising sign, as I say, by the time and the place that you were born. Your rising sign is your soul's promise in this life, your appearance, and how you come across to other people when you first meet them. This is your potential and the lens that your soul wears. So how is this different from your sun sign? The planet that rules your rising sign, so that ascendant, which is on the horizon of your chart, that line that divides your chart across the middle, on what we call the eastern hemisphere of your chart, so that left side of your chart, that point on the horizon that dissects your chart across the middle, that little point there is your ascendant. So the planet that rules there rules your whole chart. Your sun sign is determined by that date alone, and then let's say your rising sign is the time and the place. Your sun sign, we've already said, is your full personality and your life force energy. So if we look at my charts, you will see that my ascendant is in that position that we said. So it's on the left part of your chart, the eastern hemisphere, and it's on the horizon, and that determines what starts our first house. You'll see on my chart, my sun is actually in my first house. So that would mean that the chart, the whole way that my chart is seen, my soul, the lens that I see everything through within my chart is the same as what my sun sees it as. So as I said, if the rising sign is your soul's promise in this life and has a flavour that it gives to your whole chart, and my sun is in alignment with that, that means both are very much connected. So my whole potential and my essence, my personality, etc. is all so connected. Of course, it's not the same for everybody, and I'll go through the sun signs in a little while, but let's continue where we are. So we've mentioned where the rising sign is on the chart, that one that says AC. Okay, the numbers in the middle of the chart, so right in the centre we've got more numbers, and so they'll go around from 1 to 12. Those are the houses. So much like you'll see a pie or a wheel, you have lots of different sections. So they all go around in that circle, and all of our charts, they're divided into 12 sections. So 12 slices of the pie, if you like pie, or 12 spokes for wheel. And so that separates our chart into houses. Okay, what else? Okay, so the rising sun, as I say, determines that first house of your chart. So as mine starts with Gemini, then it proceeds in the same order as the wheel of the zodiac. If my chart was to start at Aries, my second house would be Taurus, because the order of the wheel of the chart runs from Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and we've got Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and then we last have Pisces. So that's all 12 signs in the order they go. They're always in that same order, but depending on where your rising sign starts your first house, they will continue again in that order. I hope I haven't confused you. But you'll kind of see as we go along when I describe the sun placements. So, can you see where my moon is on my chart? So my moon is, my moon's in my 9th house, you can see. And so our moon sign is our sign of our emotions, our temperaments, or our moods that we're in at any given moment, and it's all of our internal world, our deepest personal needs. Of course, they'll be very different for every person, and hopefully you can see how very different our sun sign is to our moon sign and our rising sign. And those are the big three. They're the main ones that we look at in any given chart, and they make up everything about you as a person. So when someone first meets you, they'll probably see your rising sign. Then they'll get to know you, they'll know your personality with your sun. Your moon, they won't necessarily know unless you indicate your particular needs, or they notice any patterns in your behaviour and how you come across because of those personal needs you have or your emotions that you're showing. As I say, those are your big three. I hope that helps. So we've said that my moon is in Capricorn in the 9th house. As I say, the houses are those numbers in the middle. Okay, so if we look at the sun signs in order, of course these will, if you have a rising sign in any of these will flavour your particular chart in a certain way. I would suggest the easiest way to find these things out is to have a reading. I do offer readings, and you're welcome to book one with me if you like. Just send me a message on my Lunar Pumpkin Facebook page or on my Instagram page. Yeah, direct message me and we can arrange one if you want one. So let's carry on. So we've got, if your sun is in Aries, the statement for Aries is I am. It's that first sign of the zodiac. It's a fire sign. And it looks at the physical body. Characteristics are that a person with a sun in Aries is likely to be quite direct, sometimes a bit bossy, but there's, as I say, there's a high road and a low road of every sign and every house, and we need to basically have a little bit of awareness for what comes up and strive to meet that high road rather than being on the low. So yeah, Aries tends to be quite powerful, quite direct, so you tend to know where you stand with an Aries. They're leaders, forward thinking, highly active due to all that fire energy. So fire energy needs to move, otherwise it can be feeling sort of trapped. And yeah, the best way for fire to move is exercising and lots of expression and creative things. Yeah, if you know someone with a lot of fire energy, they're likely very active. So, okay, Aries is symbolised by the ram, and people born with their sun in Aries are born between the 21st of March and the 19th of April. The ruler for Aries, the sign ruler, is Mars, and Mars is a planet of passion and drive and motivation. Okay, the second sun sign we have is Taurus, and the phrase for Taurus is I have or I value. So Taurus is an earth sign. It's a very practical sign. People are often grounded due to the earth quality, steady. There's the feeling of that slow and steady wins the race. So you allow yourself to be that turtle rather than the hare, if you're familiar with that parable. Slow and steady wins the race. Taurus persons are often quite sensual, and so they love lots of being quite tactile, often quite sweet as well. So Taurus is known as the sign associated with the bull. It's ruled by the planet Venus, and Venus is that planet of love and abundance. So next we have Gemini, the third house of the zodiac, third sign of the zodiac, sorry. And Gemini's phrase is I think. So Gemini is an air sign, so it's all about communication, intellect, the mind. There's lots of ideas flowing usually with the Gemini. And Gemini is associated with the twins, or the Roman numeral number 2. So Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is the planet of the mind and communication and intellect. So people born under the sign of Gemini, with their sun sign in Gemini, they were born between the 21st of May and the 20th of June. Next we have Cancer. So Cancer is a water sign, and their phrase is I feel, which is very apt, of course, because if water tends to be about our emotions and our deepest feelings. Of course, that is very relevant to why Cancer is placed there. So Cancerians tend to be quite nurturing people, quite protective of their loved ones, whether it's family, friends, or people they have any close connection with. They can be quite sensitive. If feeling a little anxious perhaps with all that water, they might come across as moody, but as I say, that would be the low road. And that's not, of course, true for every single Cancerian out there, or if they're more living from the high road. Okay, Cancer is associated with the crab, and the crab tends to have a protective outer shell and a soft interior. So yes, that's why there's sort of the soft emotional centre with that protective outer shell. That's quite a nice analogy for Cancerians, is when you get to know them. Absolutely lovely, sensitive, caring people who just want to nurture people. Well, that's my experience. So people born with their sun sign in Cancer are born between the 21st of June and the 22nd of July. And the ruler for the sign of Cancer is the moon. So the moon is, as I say, our internal world, our deepest personal needs, our feelings, and our intuition, really. So that's Cancer. Right, where are we at? Okay, next we have Leo. So if your sun is in Leo, the phrase is I will. And Leo is a fire sign, so they're likely to be very expressive and passionate, full of energy again, lots of willpower with Leo, courageous, fun, outgoing, dramatic, playful. So people born with their sun in Leo were born between the 23rd of July and the 20th of August, 22nd of August, sorry. So 23rd of July to 22nd of August. And the association with Leo is the lion. I like to think that's because of the courage aspect. And Leo is ruled by the sun. So that's again, as I say, our life force energy. Next we have Virgo, the 6th sign of the zodiac. And Virgo's phrase is I analyse. Virgo people tend to be quite function oriented, critical thinkers, hardworking, modest, sweet, very genuine, loving to be of service, practical, grounded again because of the earth. And the symbolism for Virgo is the Virgin. It's the beautiful earth maiden. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Mercury, we've said previously for Gemini, because Mercury rules both of those signs. It's about the mind and the intellect and communication. And next we have Libra. Libra, the 7th sign of the zodiac. So if your sun sign is Libra, your phrase is I balance or I relate. And Libra persons are likely to be quite fair, quite just, loving harmony, very other-oriented, balanced, loving, peaceful, diplomatic, creative, And Libra is an air sign, so probably big talkers. So the ruler for Libra is Venus, and Venus is that planet of love and abundance. Libra is symbolised by the scales, which is quite apt really, because wanting to balance things out and create harmony. Next we have Scorpio, the 8th sign. So if your sun is in Scorpio, your phrase is, I desire. Scorpio is a water sign, and it's all about transformation. There's a great intensity with this sign. People with Scorpio like to go quite deeply into subjects, very deep thinkers, highly spiritual likely. It's a sign that looks at sexuality and intimacy. It's about healing. It can be very powerful, likely very honest, but also quite mysterious, and can be cautious, and at times it might feel quite reserved or secretive, not always wanting to share everything out in the public arena. But yes, as I say, it's a very deep sign, and given the opportunity, they'll be able to highly debate the deeper subjects in life because of all the deep thinking from the water sign that they are. So the ruling planet for Scorpio is Pluto. I think the traditional planet is also Mars. I think I mentioned in a previous video that people couldn't see past Saturn, or weren't aware of the planets past this point. So after Saturn in the solar system, you've got Uranus, Neptune, and then Pluto. They were discovered a lot later than the first few planets of the solar system. So that's why some of the planets, some of the signs, have two rulers. You've got the traditional ruler, and then you've got the more modern ruler. So the modern ruler for Scorpio is Pluto. But you also have, I believe, Mars. I mean, I do have a diagram that I'll put up for you as well, which I researched lots of different things, so you'll be able to see what the traditional rulers are when I air this video. Okay. So after Scorpio, we have Sagittarius. So Sagittarius's phrase is I seek. And Sagittarius is another fire sign. So lots of energy again. They see the larger picture, highly philosophical. The travellers, be that spiritual or physically travelling the world. They're highly optimistic, usually people with a sun in Sagittarius. I said they've got that larger than life personality, and expansive. They were born from the 22nd of November to the 21st of December. And the ruling planet for Sagittarius is Jupiter. And Jupiter is that planet of joy and expansion, and sometimes about luck as well. So our luck and our fortune. And the association with Sagittarius is the arrow. Okay, so next we have Capricorn. So Capricorn is the 10th sign of the zodiac. So if your sun is in Capricorn, it's an earth sign. And the phrase is I utilise or I use. And Capricorn persons are usually quite ambitious, very service focused, and very practical, can be quite wise, very mature for their years. But they also can be quite political. There's this timeless sense with Capricorn. Quite humble, very prepared and organised, much like the other earth signs tend to be. So yes, tend to be quite authentic, and its rulership is Saturn. So Capricorn's ruling planet is Saturn. And that's a sign all about structure and the timeline and discipline and karma and destiny. So yeah, Saturn is sort of the timekeeper and the father of the zodiac. And next we have Aquarius, so the 11th sign of the zodiac. So if your sun is in Aquarius, that's an air sign. Although people can be confused at times thinking that it's a water sign, because its symbol is the water bearer. They're holding space for the sort of water or emotions of others. That's how I like to see that one. It's all about knowing, deeper knowing, because their phrase is, I know. The lovers of freedom. Aquarius is often quite an eccentric sign. It can hold levels of genius and quirky, out-of-the-box thinking. They often tell things as they are, really telling the truth that a community might want to say but hasn't really said. They're the ambassadors for humanity and the collective. They're very compassionate about others, quite versatile, often break boundaries. They often have great friendships and connections. Futurists, quite non-conformist, occasionally rebels. So yeah, highly intellectual, being an air sign as well. And Aquarius sun signs, they're born the 20th of January until the 18th of February. And the rulers for Aquarius, as I say, there's often two ruling planets for some of the signs. So the traditional ruler is Saturn, but the modern ruler is Uranus. And Uranus is that planet of surprises, but also about technology and our eccentricities. It looks at what we're willing to sacrifice in life, but also where we don't want to conform and where we're willing to break rules if it's for the greater good, shall we say. And lastly, but not leastly, we have Pisces. So if your sun is in Pisces, your phrase is, I dream or I believe. And Pisces is a water sign. People with a sun in Pisces tend to be quite mysterious, quite idealistic. They might have psychic abilities. They tend to be quite poetic or arty. There's a tendency to be spiritual or religious. Often the dreamers, the romantics. I tend to find that Pisces I know are quite wise individuals, but also can be quite sensitive and highly intuitive. That's that water again. Often loving to study, not always verbalising their emotions, but feeling them very deeply. There's that tendency to be wanting to escape in a way. So they might need lots of time to themselves to recover from being around lots of people, because if they're sometimes feeling other people's emotions and finding it hard to separate between what's theirs and what is other people's, etc. it can be quite tricky if that is the sign, the part that you relate to most of your sun sign. But say, often very sweet, often very generous, but needing to put boundaries in place so don't give the power away. Okay, I think we've actually covered all of the sun signs, and I hope that you're clearer now on what a sun sign is, what a rising sign is, and your moon sign as well, and how you could fit those together. So if in doubt, always come back to the elements. So as I say, the air signs are creative, talkative, expressive, often creative writers, enjoy public speaking perhaps, have lots and lots of ideas, connecting people together. And the fire signs, very direct, lots of energy, tend to be very creative, sometimes outspoken, but very caring and courageous. The earth signs can be a bit more modest, but very practical, grounded, often quite friendly as well, quite forward thinking, but hardworking, extremely hardworking. And the water signs, feeling emotions very deeply, intuitive, caring and nurturing, protective, quite dreamy, poetic, but not necessarily showing their emotions verbally. I hope this makes things a lot clearer for you, and you'll start to see within your charts your ascendant, so say that point on the eastern horizon, and then directly opposite that is your descendant, sometimes referred to as your love line. At the top of your chart, the line that goes down the middle of your chart, that's called the meridian. At the top's your midheaven or your MC. At the bottom's your nadir, which is that cusp point that is your fourth house. So yeah, it sort of connects your first tribe, your family, etc., to the rest of your charts, and you begin connecting more and creating more throughout your life after that point. So your first few houses in the chart are very personal to you, and then things become more so connected with everything else in your life. I'm probably going too far and confusing you if you're new, and I apologise for that. But I just want you to realise that within your chart, it's divided up into certain ways, and the parts in the middle of the houses. So when you know those and a little bit about the elements, it brings everything more to life. And even if you don't know necessarily transits and progressions, which are the deeper subjects that you get into with astrology, at least you'll be able to break things back down to, well, how does that element relate to that element? And the very basics are that fire and air harmonise really well together, and earth and water harmonise really well together. So I'm going to call it a day here, and I really hope this is helpful for you. I'm sending you lots of love and wishing you a wonderful day. From my heart to yours, namaste. Thank you.